Fellow warriors, I'm OhhhmyJosh and welcome aboard the Joshticle. Recently, Daddy KoeiWarriors has unleashed the floodgates with a colossal batch of juicy infos regarding Dynasty Warriors 9. In today's video, we'll focus solely on playable characters both new and returning. Feel free to skip to any character by using the timestamps in the description below. So without further ado, pull out your meat buns and let's get right into it. The old geezer clad in red armor is none other than the seasoned veteran himself, Cheng Pu of the Kingdom of Wu. That's right, it finally happened. It only took until the 9th installment, but he's finally here. Cheng Pu's weapon of choice is a double pipe, which is a bit odd because it bears an uncanny resemblance to Zhang Fei's weapon. In fact, you could argue that it's pretty much the same weapon with a fresh coat of red paint. There are 3 possible reasons I can think of that would explain this anomaly. 1. Zhang Fei will receive his old school Viper Spear weapon from Dynasty Warriors 5. 2. Both Zhang Fei and Cheng Pu's movesets are totally unique and use different fighting styles. Or 3. Cheng Pu is a clone of Zhang Fei. Personally, I think the first option is the most plausible. Having both Zhang Fei and Cheng Pu share the same weapon with completely different movesets just seems redundant and a stretch, so option 2 is out of the window. And let's face it, after the relentless public outcry during the Dynasty Warriors 6 days, Omega Force would be insane to bring back cloned movesets. Therefore, the last option will never happen. But I digress. I think we rambled enough about weapons, so here's a quick look at some direct feed screenshots of Cheng Pu in action. As you can see, the man is a bona fide badass, one who deserves recognition. If my grandpa could whoop as much butt as Cheng Pu, I'd be the coolest kid on the block. It's no wonder Cheng Pu is described as, quote, an outspoken man of integrity by KoeiWarriors. Translation for dummies, the man will speak his mind honestly but in a righteous or honorable way. And if that's not enough to convince you that Cheng Pu is a worthy ad, well, know this. Cheng Pu served the Kingdom of Wu for 3 generations. Exactly. From Sun Jian to Sun Ce and finally Sun Quan. Moreover, he is one of the most respected warriors and is commonly seen as an elder. Elder as in a fountain of wisdom, a living scripture, a universal marvel. Okay, yeah, that was a bit overdramatic, but you get the point. Cheng Pu also had an interesting relationship with Zhao Yun, but I'll save that for a future video. Before moving on to our returning cast of characters, I'd like to briefly mention Cheng Pu's design and costume. I love it. It really gives off that mature and knowledgeable vibe of a seasoned warrior. That silvery gray hair looks sick, and that blue scarf is a nice touch. Overall, it's a hell of a lot better than his Dynasty Warriors Blast counterpart. All in all, Cheng Pu was on my personal character wishlist for many years now, and to see him debut in this glorious state is a massive treat. Now we move on to the returning characters whose makeovers were bound to happen. First up is Wei's favorite poster boy, Xiahou Dun. Feast your eyes. Now the first thing that struck me was its similarity with his old school costumes, more specifically Dynasty Warriors 5. I have to say, although I prefer Dun with his longer hair, I'm pleasantly surprised with what they've done. I've never been a fan of the yellow motifs, but after all these years, it has grown on me. And, as expected, Dun's signature scimitar returns as his weapon. No complaints there, it's classic and I honestly can't see him with any other weapon. Also, if you paid close attention during the screenshot showcase, we do see him in certain instances with and without an eye patch. Glad to see costume variations making a return. Overall thoughts on Xiahou Dun? He still looks like the tough and intimidating Dun I've grown accustomed to over the years, so it's a win for me. Up next is the God of War himself, Guan Yu. The ongoing trend of bearing a striking resemblance to old school costume also holds up here. For a second, I thought I was looking at a Dynasty Warriors 5 or 4 HD remaster because I swear at first glance, it looks just like those costumes. Other than that, there's not much to say here. A bit boring to be honest, but hey, it's iconic at best. And speaking of iconic, Green Dragon is in his hands. No surprise here. Personally, I'm a bit indifferent towards this iteration of the God of War. Under normal circumstances, I'd give his costume a meh rating. That is until I stumbled upon that magnificent beard of his. Holy mother of Dongzhuo, that, my fellow warriors, is a beard. Heck, I wouldn't be surprised if most of the resources went into just that. I mean, just look at the detail. You can even see the dirt under his fingernails. You know what? I take that back. The dirt under his nails alone warrants a bump up from meh to decent. Finally, we have history's greatest babysitter, Zhao Yun, sporting some new duds. Sorry, no screenshots this time around, all we got are renders. I mean, it's only fair, right? He did have his grand moment during the announcement teaser trailer. Now let's not beat around the bush. This costume is amazing. From this day onward, I declare that Omega Force used silver in all of his future costumes. I can't quite put my finger on why, but for some reason, silver paired with green just works. By the way, check out the cover of this week's Famitsu. It's the most realistic Zhao Yun you'll ever see. Oh, and one tidbit worthy of mention is that in the teaser trailer, the greens of his costume look more like blues. And to conclude, frankly, Omega Force hit the nail on the head with this costume. I can't praise it enough. This is coming from somebody who thinks his Dynasty Warriors 6 costume will never be topped. Which still holds true, but this new costume definitely comes in at a close second. Those are all the characters shown in this week's Famitsu, but that's not the end of it. Here's some general info pertaining to characters. Like many things in Dynasty Warriors 9, character models are built from the ground up. With this in mind, Omega Force is going for an approach where character models look more like actual humans. This explains the attention to detail in the character renders, specifically the faces. Although they've made sure not to go overboard with this idea as it would deviate too much from past iterations. Lastly, the philosophy behind the costumes in Dynasty Warriors 9 is that flashiness will be toned down in favor of the more traditional and realistic clothing of the era. So that explains why Xiahou Dun and Guan Yu's costumes give off that old school vibe. Now before I bid you farewell, there's one more thing I need to say. If Shu got Zhou and Wu got Cheng Pu, I'm willing to bet that the next new warrior belongs to the Kingdom of Wei. I'm calling it right now, Manchong will be playable in Dynasty Warriors 9. Place your bets in the comments, who will be revealed next? However guys, that's it for the video, so until the next batch of juicy info, stay tuned for more Musou greatness. I'm OhhhmyJosh, and remember, do not pursue you boo!